So today, we're going to talk about PTSD, but maybe not in the way you're used to thinking about it. We're going to get into some really fascinating new research that sees PTSD less as a psychological scar and more like a fundamental glitch in your brain's core operating system, a glitch in how it predicts the world around you. All right, let's get right into it.
First off, let me just ask you a question. What do you think your brain's single most important job is? I mean, what's its prime directive? Is it thinking, feeling emotions, storing memories? Well, it's kind of a trick question, because the real answer is all of those things are in service of one, even more critical function.
That's it. Your brain's main job, above everything else, is to be a prediction machine. Every moment of every day, it's making countless little bets about what's going to happen next. And we're not talking about seeing the future in a crystal ball. We're talking about basic survival. This one idea is the key to everything we're going to unpack today.
So that brings us to our first big idea, the brain's prediction machine. And this isn't just a cool metaphor, it's a really powerful way to understand how we do, well, everything. How we manage to walk through a crowded room, catch a ball, or even just feel safe sitting at home.
Now, there's a scientific name for this, of course. Researchers like Ito, Friston, and Keeble call it predictive processing. And the theory is pretty straightforward. Your brain isn't just sitting back and passively taking in the world. No way. It's actively, constantly building a model of reality based on every single thing you've ever seen, heard, and felt. And it uses that model to guess what's coming.
So how does this amazing prediction machine get better over time? Well, it's a beautifully simple three-step loop. First, your brain predicts. I think this is about to happen. Then you actually experience what happens. And here's the magic. Step 3, your brain compares its prediction to reality. Any gap between the two is called a prediction error, and that error signal is pure gold. It's the trigger that tells the brain, hey, update your model. It's literally how we learn.
Okay, so this system is amazing, right? It works beautifully, most of the time. But that brings us to the core of this whole thing. What happens when an experience is so shocking, so completely outside of what the brain could ever predict, that it doesn't just create an error, it breaks the whole system?
Just think about that for a second. Your brain is constantly predicting a world that is, for the most part, safe and makes sense. Then an event occurs that isn't just a small mistake, it's a catastrophic failure of that entire model. The reality of what's happening is so violently different from the prediction that the system can't just make a little update. It freezes, it crashes.
This is exactly how the scientists behind this new study see it. That initial shock of a traumatic event from a neuroscience perspective is a massive, system-wide prediction error. It's so big that the learning mechanism itself gets completely overwhelmed and short-circuits.
So what does a system crash like that actually look like inside the brain? What does it do to the wiring? This is where some incredible new research from Nature Mental Health gives us a peek under the hood of a brain that has become stuck, permanently stuck, on the danger signal.
So in this study, researchers looked at the brains of people with PTSD, and it's worth noting that 90% of them had experienced trauma in childhood, and they compared them to a control group without PTSD. And what they found was a problem located deep inside what they call the survival brain in a part called the cerebellum. This is where the system was stuck.
And the brain scans, well, they were just jaw-dropping. When people with PTSD were asked to recall a traumatic memory, the activity in their cerebellum went haywire. I mean, it became incredibly erratic, fluctuating all over the place. Meanwhile, in the control group, that same brain region stayed nice and stable. It's like a critical computer server that just keeps crashing and rebooting over and over again.
But it got even more specific than that. It wasn't just that the cerebellum was acting erratically. It had become functionally disconnected from the rest of the brain. You see, in a healthy brain, that survival part is integrated. It's in constant communication. But in the PTSD brain, it becomes segregated. It's like it's been firewalled off, totally isolated. It can't send or receive new information. It's just stuck running the same old danger program on a loop.
And wow, does this explain the day-to-day reality of PTSD? If your deep survival brain is stuck on danger and it literally can't get the message that you're safe now, of course you're going to constantly anticipate the worst. Your senses will stay on high alert, your fight or flight responses will have a hair trigger, and this also explains why some top-down therapies, like just trying to challenge your thoughts, often don't work. The thinking part of the brain can't get a message through that firewall to the part that's actually stuck.
Okay, so the brain is stuck. That sounds pretty bleak. But here's where the story takes an amazing turn.
Because the most exciting part of this research isn't just about identifying the problem. It's about what they did next. It's about figuring out how to fix it. This is where the hope comes in.
The researchers didn't just observe this disconnection and call it a day. They actually tested an intervention. They used a specific kind of therapy called deep brain reorienting, or DBR, which is designed to bypass the thinking brain and talk directly to that deep, primal survival system to soothe that initial shock and get it back online. And the results? Honestly, they were stunning. After going through this therapy, participants reported on average a 50% reduction in their PTSD symptoms. Just let that sink in for a moment. A 50% drop. For people whose entire lives have been shaped by this, that's not just a number. That is getting your life back.
But here's the real clincher. This is what makes this study so powerful. It wasn't just that people felt better. Their brains physically changed. You can see it right here in the data. Before therapy, the cerebellum was segregated, isolated, and its activity was all over the map. After therapy, it became more integrated with the rest of the brain, and its activity completely stabilized. They literally repaired the broken connection.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's this. PTSD may not be a life sentence. By understanding it as this problem of prediction and disconnection, we can create therapies that go straight to the root of the problem. It's not about trying to forget what happened. It's about helping that deep survival brain finally get the update that the danger is over, allowing it to reconnect with the rest of the brain and, finally, stand down.
And that leaves us with this final, incredibly hopeful thought. This research shows us that trauma is, in a way, a form of learning. The brain learns, very quickly and very deeply, to get stuck on danger. But if the brain is built to learn, and it can learn its way into being stuck, doesn't it stand to reason that it can also learn its way out?